Now, if you've been in the marketing world for a minute, you've probably heard the name Gary Vee. And today we are going to talk about the one and only Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk, the king of micro content, the king of visibility marketing himself. First thing we're going to talk about is how we can use Gary Vee's marketing strategies to be everywhere. We're also going to look at how Gary Vee and his team are able to generate consistently high quality micro content. And finally, we're going to look at how Gary Vee leverages his community. So the first thing I learned when I dove into the world of Gary Vee and his micro content marketing is the fact that you have to be on multiple platforms. He has this huge team behind him. So first realize that his level of visibility comes from the fact that he pays multiple teams of full-time content creation staff. He has content creators who work specifically on single platforms, but he covers every platform there is. And I read a little bit in something that was written online about his strategy, and they were talking about how he gets his team to put him literally on every platform. If someone comes up and finds a new platform, like, of all places, SlideShare, which is a platform where you can share your PowerPoint slides. So he's got an awesome branded session that's available there, which drives people to the rest of his invisible funnel. They know his name. They understand the value of the content that he provides because he's able to access them on a platform these customers already exist on. So when he moves over to a platform like TikTok, for example, he's got this two-sided strategy. He's got this strategy of being on every platform, and he has these content creators who work on his team who work specifically at feeding the algorithms on those specific platforms. So you don't need to have a giant team behind you, but what you do need to have are eyes open. Remember, visibility hacking is both the art of seeing and being seen. So we need to see first. We need to look around at what platforms are collecting our audience. Where are our people likely to gather, and how can we provide value to them where they already are hanging out? And that's your job when it comes to the first level entry into a micro content multi-platform approach, is to look for the 2 or 3 platforms in which your people are already hanging out. And I want you to feed them. I want you to nurture those relationships. And I also want you to nurture the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that button so you can come along on the journey. We release new videos every single week, and I want you along for the ride. Now, the way that Gary Vee and his team are able to be everywhere at the same time is not just because they are on every single friggin' platform, but it's also because they work smarter, not harder. The way that they do their content production is really interesting and very simple to replicate in your own business, regardless of how big your content production team is. So first, what you have to do is create your main pillar content. So if you're a blogger, these are your blog posts. If you're a YouTuber, these are your main YouTube videos, the ones you're spending time putting energy into, researching, etc., etc. These are the main core interviews you're doing with experts. These can take on a variety of different forms, but they are, to think about it this way, they are your main pieces of content. These are longer form pieces of content that are taking more time to produce, more energy to produce, and overall create a ton of value. So once you create those pieces of content, you're then going to look at those multiple platforms that we identified in the previous action step I wanted you to take. From there, think about what kinds of content can you create for those platforms based on those main pillar pieces of content. For example, if you have an interview with an expert, taking a quote from that interview and creating a text-based quote card for Instagram. Great. Snipping out a minute of that interview and making it an Instagram video. Great. Taking out a section of that interview and putting a little screen at the end of the video saying, watch the rest of my YouTube video, posting that on Facebook. That will continue to generate content, all driven back to the main pillar. Again, these are like lead magnets for your lead magnets, pretty much. So looking first at what your main piece of content is, going back to where our platforms are, and then chunking up that pillar content into little bite-sized pieces that can be delivered on our different platforms is the secret, thank you Gary Vee, for being everywhere. I want to know, what platforms are you guys on? Let me know your handles down in the comments below. Let's build this community, let's get loud, and let's check each other's stuff out. So if you want to leverage your community the way that Gary Vee does and the way that his team does, it's pretty fantastic. So what they do is they create their main pillars of content, they break it down into micro content and put that out there on all of their platforms, and then they listen and they watch the analytics, they watch the engagement, and they watch the interaction that their community is having with those pieces of content. From there, they see if their community has started to generate their own content based on that stuff. Do they have reflections or callback content? And from there, the team will actually repost a lot of their user-generated content. Or they'll notice that certain pieces or certain segments of that interview are getting a lot more engagement. Certain topics are getting a lot more engagement. Certain hooks they've tested from that main pillar are getting more engagement. And so they'll create a second round of content that's generated either by the users themselves or based on their reactions to help feed them even more. So if you're finding that a certain catchy hook title is getting a lot of attention, then creating more along that stream is going to generate, presumably, theoretically, more engagement. So we're always looking at testing and poking and prodding and questioning and A/B split testing all of our content so that we really know how to best speak to our audience. So to recap, you want to make sure that you have a multi-platform approach. You also want to make sure that you're taking your pillar content and dividing it up into bite-sized pieces on each of those platforms. And then you want to listen to what your community is doing. Look at what they're engaging in and look at ways that you can use the content that's generated from your community as content on your own channel. That is just one of the very, very many powerful strategies that we use in the visibility hacking movement. And if you want access to even just a few of these strategies absolutely free, well, you can. Just click the links down below and join us for the Visibility Hackers Secrets training. It's a vault that's members only, and you guys can get access absolutely free. Just click the link down below. We'll have all the strategies laid out just for you. And while you're waiting on it, while you're still thinking about deciding to click on that link, check out one of these videos. It'll help you make up your mind. And I will see you again real soon. Until then, remember, I love you and be excellent to each other.